Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Hello learners, my name is Vineet Thaploo. Today I am here to discuss about the solar storm which Earth is likely to hit by tomorrow, that is 13th July. I have taken the snippet from the newspaper which is mentioning solar storm likely to hit Earth in coming 2 days. What I mean by 13th July. There is a possibility of G1 class geomagnetic storm on July 13 as a result of close encounter with the passing coronal mass ejection, as per the space weather report and the predictions of NASA. Now we need to understand it first, what solar storm means, how it is generated. Then we need to understand what is this G. Then we need to understand what is coronal mass ejection. So it means we need to understand first what will be the impact of the solar storm. In some newspaper articles, it was mentioned that this solar storm may completely destroy the internet system, telecommunication system, but we will see how true it is. Then we need to first understand here the characteristic features of the sun. What I mean by the characteristic features of the sun, it means we should know about the temperature, about the pressure, and there are some terminologies which we should first know. We need to understand the basic terminologies and the processes which are happening. Like, we need to know what is solar cycle first. What is sunspot activity? In this solar cycle, we need to understand what is solar minimum, what is solar maximum, and how this solar minimum and maximum are related to this solar storm. Then we need to understand what is plasma. We need to understand what is CME, coronal mass ejection, solar winds, solar flares, aurora. It is a lightning phenomena, beautiful lightning phenomena in the sky, mainly observed in North Pole as well as in South Pole. North Pole, it is called as aurora borealis, and here in South Pole it is called as aurora australis. Why this is happening? On what it is dependent? Here we need to know one more thing, that sun, it is a star, and the energy coming from the sun makes the life possible on this earth. It means for all the biogeochemical cycles, this sun's energy is very important. Similarly, for this auroras, again the sunlight is responsible. Now let's first discuss about the basic terminologies. When we talk about here sun, let's discuss the basic features. The diameter is around 8,65,000 miles. It is composed mainly of hydrogen. Temperature at the core of the sun is around 29 crore degree Fahrenheit. Pressure is around 100 billion times more than the atmospheric pressure of Earth. So it means temperature and pressure is extremely high. Under such extreme pressure and temperature conditions, hydrogen atoms come closer together and they fuse. The process is called as fusion. As the fusion will take place, it will convert this hydrogen into helium. What will hydrogen convert into? Helium. At present, half of the hydrogen of the sun is fused into helium, and it has taken around 4.5 billion years to happen. Now, what will happen when all the hydrogen present in the sun will convert into helium? It means what will happen when the hydrogen will exhaust completely in the sun. as the hydrogen will completely exhaust. It means when hydrogen present in the sun will completely exhaust, sun's surface will begin to cool. At that point is called as red giant. It means at that point, sun will be 10,000 times brighter than the present luminosity. And once this red giant will end, once the phase of red giant will end, what will happen? Sun will shrink to a white dwarf star. Dwarf means small, and it will shrink up to the size of Earth, and it will slowly begin to cool for several further billion years. Hope these basic characteristics of the sun are clear. Now, as the sun is very hot, most of the gases are there in plasma. Now, question is, what is plasma? You need to first understand it is the fourth state of matter. It is the fourth state of matter. What is the first state of matter? First state of matter is solid. So can I say this first state of matter, which is solid, is in cold state? If we heat up this solid, it will convert into liquid. What is liquid? Liquid is the second state of matter. And as we further heat liquid, it will come into gas, which is the third state of matter. Clear? Now, and when gas is further heated, its atom break, gas atoms break and convert into charge particles. Charge particles, which is called as plasma. Is it clear? So, what is this plasma made up of? This plasma is made up of protons, which are positively subatomic charge particles, hydrogen nuclei, alpha particles, helium, and free electrons. What are electrons? These are negatively subcharged particles. So what is first thing we learn here? What is plasma? If in simple one line you have to understand the plasma, it is simply ionized gas, or can I say ionized or charged gas? That is your plasma. Clear? Let's understand another term. Let's first understand what is solar storm. Solar storm is also called as magnetic storm. What does it mean? It is a temporary disturbance of Earth's magnetic sphere, which is caused by the solar winds. What is magnetic storm? It is a temporary disturbance of the magnetosphere of the Earth. How it is happening? Because of solar winds. Now we need to understand what is solar winds. See how they are interlinked. Sun's plasma is so hot that most energetic charge particles escape from the sun's gravity and fly into the space. They are nothing but are called as solar winds, or we can also call them solar flares. Now, plasma, I just told you, we can even consider plasma as ionized charged gases in which gas molecules are stripped of electron. And what are electrons? Negatively charged subatomic particles. So, एक one line में अगर हम समझे, what are these solar winds? They are simply ionized, or we can say charged gases. Is it clear? So what we learn here, what is plasma, what is solar wind, or what is solar flares. Now, magnetic storm, frequency of this geomagnetic storm is dependent upon solar cycle. So पहले हमें अब ये पता होना चाहिए what solar cycle means. and sunspot activity. So two things we should know: what is solar cycle and we should know what is sunspot activity. Again, solar cycle has one phase called as solar minimum, another is called as solar maximum. So we will discuss now what is solar minimum and solar maximum. Geomagnetic storm, question is when it will occur very frequently. Geomagnetic storm occur more often during the solar maximum. So it means we need to understand what is solar maximum. And majorly it is driven by CMEs. Now what we need to know, what is coronal mass ejection? Coronal mass ejection, it is large expulsion of plasma. Already we have discussed what plasma is. And magnetic field from the sun's corona. Is this clear? समझ आ रहा है यहाँ तक? Now, this CME is very strong. It is very strong, even than plasma. When it is maximum, it can reach to Earth's surface within 15 to 18 hours. And when it is weaker, it can generally take 3 to 4 days. Is this clear? So it means something is happening within the sun which is increasing the intensity of these solar winds. So is term clear? What is plasma, solar flares, solar winds and coronal mass ejection? Let's now discuss another part. Now listen, let's talk about sunspot now. What is the sunspot? It is large as 50,000 kilometer in diameter. What are sunspots? They are areas having dark surface on the sun. On which part of the sun surface? Which is visible to us. Which is the visible part of the sun to us? It is called as photosphere. What is visible part of the sun? It is called as photosphere. Now, magnetic field here is 2500 times stronger than the Earth and much higher than anywhere else on the sun. Assume it is sun. These dark spots, development of these dark spots are called as sunspot activity. What it means, in these parts, magnetic field is very strong. So as the magnetic field is very strong, it will not allow the heat to move away from the interior of the sun. So thus, in comparison to the rest of the regions, what will be here pressure? Pressure will be high. So in surrounding areas like here, what will be the pressure? Less. As it will not allow the heat to move out, so what will be here temperature? It will be less. In comparison to here, what will be temperature? High. The part here, this dark part is called as umbra and this lighter part is called as numbra. Is it clear? So it means if they are, what we should understand, in umbra part, what is magnetic field? Very strong. Same it is written here. It is because of strong magnetic field, magnetic pressure will increase while surrounding atmospheric pressure will decrease. Is it clear? Thus, it will lower the temperature relative to its surroundings. So it means umbra's temperature and numbra's temperature. Will there be any difference? Yes. This dark surface which is your umbra, here the temperature will be around 6300 degree Fahrenheit. Whereas in numbra generally, the temperature remains 10,000 degree Fahrenheit. So it means these dark spot parts will be cooler in comparison to the surrounding surface. So if anyone asks you what are sunspot activity, these are the cooler surfaces, these are the cooler region on the sun surface. In which part? Photosphere. Why? Because magnetic field is so strong that it will not allow the heat energy to come out. So it will be relatively cooler in comparison to the surrounding surface. Is this clear? Now, last completed solar cycle. which was solar cycle 24. It began in December 2008 when it was in the minimum phase. We will discuss what this minimum phase mean, and it ends in April 2014 with the maximum. So it means 2014 onwards again a new solar cycle begin. So if it is 24th, what is this? 25th. So it means it also have minimum and it also have maximum. So what is geomagnetic storm? Dependent on solar activity. Let's now discuss that. So hope sunspot, Numbra, Umbra, it is clear? Okay. Now let's focus on this part. Solar cycle. The sun is a huge ball of electrically charged hot gases. अभी मैंने कहा इसी को plasma. This charged gas moves, generating a powerful magnetic field. Rotation of sun. The sun's magnetic field goes through a cycle called as solar cycle. Every 11 years or so, the sun's magnetic field completely flips. What it means? This means that the sun's north and south poles switch the places. Sun's magnetic north and magnetic south pole, they switch the places. And then it takes about another 11 years for the sun's north and south pole to flip back again. Completed process is called as solar cycle. The solar cycle affects activities on the surface of the sun, such as sunspots, which are caused by the sun's magnetic field we just discussed. It is the region where the magnetic field will be very strong in comparison to the surrounding areas. Thus, those spot areas, energy will not be able to move out, so they will be cooler in comparison to surroundings. As the magnetic field change, so does the amount of activity on the sun surface. One way to track the solar cycle is by counting the number of sunspots. The beginning of the solar cycle is solar minimum. So it means how we can conclude about the sunspot activity. When it is in the beginning phase, spots will be very less. So what is that called as? Solar minimum, or when the sun has the least sunspots. Over the time, solar activity and the number of sunspots increases. The middle of the cycle is the solar maximum, or when the sunspot has most sunspots, or when the sun has more number of sunspots. ये visible कहाँ है? याद रखना, the visible part of the sun surface, which is photosphere. As the cycle ends, it fades back to the solar minimum and then new cycle begins. Now what you need to understand, 2014 April, solar cycle 24 ends. In the same, after April, solar cycle 25 begins, and in another 11 years, it will be completed. So that means 2025, it will come to an end. So as it has started in the 14 and we are already in 2023, so what will be number of sunspots? Increasing. As the number of sunspots are increasing, it means we are in which phase? Solar maximum phase. Is it clear? समझ आ रहा है यहाँ तक? Okay. Now, because of this, there is some lightning phenomena. Lightning phenomena which is taking place in the sky. The phenomena is called as auroras. Now, what this auroras means, let's understand this. So, hope you are clear when I say there is solar maximum. So, what will be geomagnetic storm? Will be very intense, or we can be very powerful geomagnetic storm. Hope it is clear. Now, what is aurora? Understand. This is sun, and it is ejecting these solar flares. Hope it is clear. Plasma कह दो, solar flares कह दो, solar winds कह दो. And this is our earth. If you see, I have divided it like this. This assume is the daytime. And what is this part? Night time of the earth. So what is happening? These solar flares or solar winds, sun eject electrons that act like a wind and flows towards the earth. They are very strong. If they enter into our atmosphere, they can destroy Earth's atmosphere. Now what is happening? However, they does not reach the earth and hits our magnetic field of the earth, which is referred as geomagnetic field. Are you clear with this? This is the geomagnetic field. ये हमारा magnetosphere है. Earth is, due to the churning of the earth, which is called as dynamo process, because earth is having a liquid outer core. Because of the churning of that iron in the outer liquid core, it creates a current which creates a magnetic field of earth. Now, when these solar flares strike with this earth, what will happen here? To this shield, when they will strike with this magnetosphere, they will go up and around and reach towards these poles. So during this daytime, you have auroras. It is daytime aurora. That means lightning phenomena during the day. Northern hemisphere aurora borealis, southern hemisphere aurora australis. Is it clear? Now, what is happening here? Here if you see the molecules of oxygen, nitrogen, helium, etc. Under the influence of these solar flares, they get ionized or get highly excited. Is this clear? And thus results into this lightning. What will happen because of this oxygen? Oxygen will give off red and green light, and nitrogen will glow purple and blue. So these are the different colors of this plasma. Now, what is happening when this enters into the back side of the earth? Can I say the other side of the earth? There is also the magnetic field. So what will happen? As it reaches here, it get itself distorted. What will happen to it? It will get itself distorted because of the magnetic field of the sun. And where are they pulled back? Again towards the poles. So here you have this lightning phenomena during the night. This is night auroras. Is it clear? Let's now discuss this part. Have a look on this video. Now if you see, the magnetic field of the earth deflect those electrons which go up and around and hit near the polar region. So when solar winds go around the earth, it releases and reaches to the back side of the magnetic field. It looks different because of the distortion, and again reaches back towards this poles, and such illuminating phenomena is called as auroras. Clear with this? Now, let's move to another part. Now, what is G scale? So, is first solar storm clear? And in that newspaper, there was G1. What is that? National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration, they use the 5-level system called a G scale. 5-level system called a G scale, what is the role of it? It is to indicate the severity of both observed and predicted geomagnetic activities. Those geomagnetic activities which are observed or which are predicted. The scale is used to give a quick indication of the severity of the geomagnetic storm. This scale ranges from G1 to G5, G1 being the lowest level and G5 being the highest level. Conditions below storm level, that means below storm level, are labeled as G0, but this value is not commonly used. Every G level has a certain Kp value associated with it. This ranges from G1 for a Kp value of 5 to G5 for a Kp value of 9. Now what is this Kp value? First understand. There is an index called as Kp index. It is global geomagnetic activity index that is based on 3-hour measurement from the ground-based magnetometers around the world. Index varies from Kp0 to Kp9. अब ध्यान से देखिए, ये G scale है, this is Kp value, this is auroral activity and this is average frequency. Let's focus on these three. What we discussed, conditions below storm level are labeled as G0. So when there is G scale of G0, Kp value is 4 and lower. It means below storm level. If it is G1, Kp value is 5. It means minor storms. If it is G2, Kp value will go 6, moderate storm. Similarly, it goes till 5 and the Kp value of 9. Can I say in news when it was given that this solar storm might destroy the telecommunication systems completely? That will only happen if the value in Kp level and in the value in G scale will increase. But अभी ये किस value का है? G1 का. So what is Kp value? 5. It is very minor storm. So it can have minor impacts, not on a large scale. Is it clear? Okay. You can go through this part. What is photosphere? What is chromosphere? What is transition region? And what is corona? So now the other part which is important here, Kp value. So whether auroras are properly visible or not, that is all dependent on Kp value. In high latitudes, any location in the higher latitudes, it will be with the Kp value of 4. Mid latitudes अगर आपने देखना है तो Kp value should be 7 and the low latitudes Kp value should be 8 to 9. Now, question is what will be its impact? Generally, what are the impact of these solar storms? सबसे पहले है, it can affect the telecommunication. Network. It can affect the functioning of minor satellites. It can even impact the astronauts working in spaceships, because it can also affect the electronic systems there. Is it clear? So it has many more other impacts. These are the main impacts. When I say it has the impact on satellites, so through satellites there are weather forecast also, so it can also affect the weather forecast there. So this was the main information about this geomagnetic storm. These were the characteristic features of the sun. So to understand this geomagnetic storm, it is very important for us to understand what is solar cycle, what is sunspots and the basic terminologies. Thank you very much.
Unacademy. Let's crack it.